Right, so I'll get into this. So privacy labels should go to the dogs. This is designed by me and my lecturer from Northumbria University, Dirk van der Linden. So a little bit about me. I studied IT management for business at Northumbria University, which is a course that covers a broad range of topics that interconnects computer science, project management, and business management. As part of my dissertation, I chose to research into how privacy concerns surrounding various digital dog technologies can indirectly expose human privacy and generate privacy labels to highlight this issue. As a big dog lover myself, whose family unfortunately never had time to spend looking after a pet, I landed myself a job at a kennels, catering stables when I was younger, and this just made me love animals even more. So I was very good in school with IT, and when I had the chance to work under Dirk at university, I wanted to explore digital technologies and something to do with dogs, which came in the form of privacy labels. Since graduating from university, I've started working at a company called Percipient. I'm a support consultant working with Sage Intacct with a view to becoming an implementation specialist of the cloud accounting ERP system and moving to the world of IT consultancy. So I move on to why I wanted to look into privacy labels for animals. So privacy labels themselves are an alternative approach to informing and providing consumers a clear visual summary of relevant data privacy concerns. The problem is that in the world now, there are currently no labels tailored for technology for dogs, let alone animals. So in my work with Dirk, we presented an initial set of informative privacy labels in different contexts that inform dog owners of the most important privacy considerations for their dogs and themselves. From the research, it has shown that privacy policies are not often read. Perhaps this could be because they are typically difficult to read. They can contain too much confusing legalese language and are often just too complicated, long, and confusing for most people to read. So privacy labels have been put forward and proposed by myself and Dirk. And a noteworthy point for their development was the introduction for food labels as a metaphor, because the privacy labels themselves are designed to mimic these labels, but present it in a data format rather than looking at carbohydrates, sugars, and fats. So we are currently seeing more companies do this as well, such as Apple. They are making privacy labels mandatory for products that are currently going on their Apple Store. So we can quickly look at the fact that pet wearables seem to be everywhere these days. Mostly you will find the wearable technology in the form of activity trackers, health trackers, but within our study, we looked at various types of different technologies that can track your pet that include various types of cameras, smart toys, and training applications. Whilst we did find some people do their own kind of smart tech, whilst we find some kind of smart tech, there's a lot of interest expressed in from dog owners. In the future, there's more of an interest in people wanting to purchase these technologies than they currently own. So what we did, if we look here, we had 69 people answer a questionnaire on what they believe dog technologies capture from them when they use the product, with data sharing being the highest privacy concern. So participants want to understand who their data is being shared with and why. And then closely to that, you can see the top 5. We've got data use. Participants want to understand why is it necessary for organizations to collect and use their data. Participants also want to know the procedures in place to keep their data safe. Participants want to know why it's important to know clearly what type of data are being captured, and also want to know where it's being stored physically or electronically. So when we asked these participants what dog tech they thought would capture, the recurring answer was simply not knowing or being unsure among those who already own and use this dog tech. This was in line with most participants not reading their policies and research showing that even if they were to read them, privacy policies, etc., pet wearables are vague to the point of making it impossible to understand exactly what is being captured. So if we look at recurring concerns, we identified this was all through qualitative analysis of importance to determine what a privacy label should inform consumers of, and the information on here did go into deciding what should be included in our privacy label. So this is the beginning of our privacy label designs. When we looked at determining the requirements for our dog tech privacy labels, a visual design we developed, and then this set of privacy labels for dogs tech suitable for multiple contexts. We used the insights gained from our requirements study, consider the insights into privacy label design and general principle for cognitively effective visual design to produce an iterative design process. So if we look at the first iterative design process, initially we have created a label where information was presented straightforwardly. The most important information is divided into sections and further subsections for human and dog. We did find this not visually expressive enough to distinguish between human and animal data. So we then went and separated this using coding and color, which can be seen in the second iteration. But this did lack semantic transparency, we thought. So we moved into the third design using a mixture of symbols with a grid, which meant we could split data up for the uses it is being used for. If we look at 3B, we can see, if I just move that out my way, in this context with the label having a reduced set of information, the fullest form of information was especially important. So a QR code is integrated into the design, linking to either a digital version or a full label with more explanation about the data privacy concerns. In 3C, we can see a further developed label, which can be used as a sticker for minimal critical information, which may not fit on a product as such. If it's too big for a label, this small label that's condensed will go on the product. So if we look at the finished versions of these labels, we can see on the left a full example of a full label conveying all information needed to address the most important privacy-related concerns dog owners have. The grid in data types shows for each type of data, such as health and location, you can see whether it is captured and used for a particular purpose and of whom. This gives an immediate overview of just how much personal data typical pet products might capture and make it clear to the consumers that their data is used extensively, as well as visually indicating to what the device is limited to in terms of helping understand their dog. The grid distinguishes between direct and indirect data capture. This uses an example from WooF2, indirectly capturing an owner's health and location data as a result of direct data capture of their dog. This can be due to frequent co-location. Dog location becomes a proxy for owner location and parts of dog health, such as activity, similarly become partial proxies for the owner's health. If we look in the top right corner, that would be a retail label, which you might end up seeing in places like Currys and PC World. A retail label will not include all the information that's on the left of the screen on the full label. But if vendors are putting this up in their shops, it gives owners of dogs a variety to choose from when they choose to select the dog product, and they can compare other products to see different types of privacy concerns. Then we have the minimal label, similar to a sticker. This can be used to go on products with very little space. And additionally, the label itself will give more control to the owner when looking at the software of these products. So how should we communicate the complexity of dog to human? So the current design of the iteration labels only explicitly communicates indirect data capture in the full data label design. This requires these labels to be used or consumers access it through QR codes. However, in the absence of a grid, data types and purpose, where it's communicated that human data is captured, there's no mention of it being done indirectly. Instead, it's simply reduced to splitting up into saying health data is collected about human and dog, which is strictly true, but this perhaps does not inform consumers clearly enough that such collection happens indirectly and may be difficult to exercise informed control over this. So we can quickly run through other benefits privacy labels have beyond informing privacy label. We can go through more informed decision making when purchasing a dog technology in a shop, the ability to compare against other dog technologies, and preferences in owners of what data they are comfortable in sharing from them and their pets. Companies are also now forced to consider what data they collect and sell on, as they must detail this in a data label of some sort. Furthermore, we can also now look at how close our data is to our pets, and we can extract the data that's being collected to improve our relationships with our pets. That is it from me. I hope I kept it interesting for my first ever conference call. Any questions, please?